with our top story, then, that is, of course, the two arrests, or potentially two people arrested over that Louvre heist. We're going to speak now to France 24's international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Hi, Philip. So this heist raised a lot of questions. Can you tell us specifically about some of the security concerns that it obviously raised in the wake of these arrests?
I think you have to underline something here, and that is that this is the Louvre Museum. This is a building that was a former royal palace in France that's 800 years old. And it's not the same when you come to trying to secure a building like the Louvre Museum as it is to try and secure a jewellery shop or somewhere where jewels are on show to the public in windows. There are many of those in Paris. Some of them have been burgled, but it's much more difficult to break into a jewellery shop which has reinforced windows and security on the door than it is maybe to break into a museum because it's a place where the jewels are not in a safe, they are on show to the public. So I think we had to put all of this into perspective. And one of the problems that the Louvre Museum has, there are quite a few problems, but one of the major problems is that there is a surfeit of tourism right now in France. You've seen an increase gradually over the years, the number of tourists going into the museum. There was the pyramid that was built under François Mitterrand because there wasn't enough room to let the tourists in. That was built to accommodate 3 million tourists. It still now isn't enough. There are about 8 million tourists going in. So Emmanuel Macron has announced there's going to be another entrance into the Louvre Museum. So you have this mass tourism coming in, plus the fact that you need security on a basis. Plus, you have to look after these jewels that are on show. They need to be cleaned regularly, they need to be restored often, and they need to be protected not only against theft, but also against fire. Remember what happened to Notre Dame Cathedral. So all of these elements together have made it maybe much more easy for thieves to break into museums than it would be to break into a jewellery shop. And it appears that the two men who've been arrested earlier today are both known to have issues with burglary beforehand. They're already known to the police services in France. So that's one of the aspects. And the other aspect, which has to be underlined, is that France has a huge debt right now. And 3.3 trillion euro debt. There is an announcement coming up that there is going to be less money available for the culture ministry over the next year. If the budget that's currently under discussion in the National Assembly is passed, which means that there'll be less money available for security for places like the Louvre Museum. So all of these are questions that are on the forefront of ministers' desks right now. How do you accommodate millions of people into the biggest museum in the world to see these artifacts, to be able to secure these artifacts against not only theft from people breaking into the museum, but against fire and people coming to look at them in the museum, and at the same time letting them be visible to the general public. So it is a very, very difficult situation for the public, for the powers in France that be, and the head of the Louvre Museum, Laurence Descartes, to have to work out and to make a decision about.
Now, Philip, the Paris prosecutor is, of course, not happy about the fact that information about the arrest of these two suspects, which reportedly occurred actually on Saturday night, was leaked. We heard our reporter Ellen Gainsford detail that moments ago. She said they've been quite tight-lipped, even on site there, about the circumstances surrounding their arrest. What does this suggest about the climate, the general climate behind this heist?
It's interesting that this has been the number one story in France, practically on the top of all the news bulletins since last Sunday, on the front page of the newspapers every day. There is this thirst across France for information. There is this desire across France to catch the thieves, to get the jewels back. People want to know what's going on. Social media, there's the non-stop news channels, there is the internet. All of these are crying out for information. So if the slightest bit of information comes out, like we got yesterday, the announcement, the arrest of these two men, one of them reportedly trying to leave the country from Roissy-Charles de Gaulle airport to go to Algeria. Reports in the Figaro newspaper saying the other one was trying to get out of the country, go to Mali. So that is something that I think is upsetting for the police force, because they say we don't want to give all this information out. It shouldn't be leaked out to the news and to journalists, because that will upset our investigation and maybe offer information to the other suspects in this, which will make it easier for them to abscond or escape or get rid of the jewels. We need to work on a surprise basis. They don't need to know what's going on. When it's a story this big, obviously it's going to be something that people want to know about, and the information will be out there. And you have people within the police, I'm not going to name names or whatever, but who will offer information to journalists off the cuff behind the scenes to say, we got information about this, but it's not official. And that will immediately go onto social media, onto the internet, or will be broadcast on the air via these 24-hour-a-day news networks. So it's a very difficult situation for the investigators. That's why we've had this comment by Laure Becquerel, the Paris prosecutor, who's annoyed about the fact that all this news has been given out so quickly about the arrest of these two suspects, because the other two are still on the run. They would like to catch those two as well, with a hope that they might be able to get the jewellery back. What is interesting is that Laurent Nunez, the Interior Minister, has actually said that he is still confident that the jewellery will be now found. So I think that offers some hope that maybe, because of the enormous amount of investigative work that's taken place, the enormous public interest in all of this, the thieves will feel that their ability to manoeuvre about, to take this jewellery out of the country, is severely handicapped, and that may offer a hope that the jewellery is still in France and that the police may eventually get to put their hands on it.
The saga continues then, of course, at least potentially two suspects still at large. Philip Turle, thank you very much.